And Randy, have you heard, it's been asked, the question has been asked, and I think it's a very important question that the person asked. Do you want to see your first and second ladies in the Makola markets selling when they have left office or whilst they are in office? If you say they should work and earn their own money, they should be allowed to work, do you want to see them in the Makola market? And a senior citizen is asking me that, can't you feel the anger of the people who are genuine about what is going on? When we talk about Council of State, they are being paid. Some of them have retired on their salaries and are receiving salaries again. Retired on their salaries and conditions, meaning they are chauffeured, they have car that is changed for them, and yet they are receiving a new car every 4 years. The Constitution Review Commission had this to say. I read that and then you continue. When the issue came up, he said, virtually all the submissions received on this issue about Article 71 were to the effect that the method of determining the conditions of service of public officers under Article 71 is too incestuous and needs to be reviewed. The submissions also noted that the office holders whose conditions of service are determined by the President risk losing their independence of thought and action in relation to the President. Yes.
You know, Samson, this is an issue that you could take from a lot of angles. I mean, since you ended with the Council of State one, let me just go through that. And the Presidential Committee on Emoluments report, the June 2021, if you look at the consultations, that's chapter 3. Because you finished on the Council of State, I'll start off with that place. And it goes on with the Council of State. It says that according to members, that's when they met with the Council of State, according to members, the role of the Council of State had increased beyond advising the President as stated in the Constitution. The Council is now involved in representations on behalf of the President and the State, and their members are involved in mediation and conflict resolution. They advocated that their remuneration should be enhanced to reflect their increased role in the governance of the country. So this is the thinking of the members of the Council of State. Then it goes on to say on official vehicles, that the members indicated that they are not provided with official vehicles or transportation allowance to attend meetings and perform other assignments. Council members who represent the regions have to travel to interact with people in the districts as part of their work. Such members have to foot their own transport and accommodation bills on such travels. According to them, the current arrangement where government facilitates the granting of loans for council members to purchase their own vehicles is unfair, as a significant proportion of their salaries goes into the repayment of the loans. The council argued for provision of official vehicles to members, just like members of the executive and judiciary. In the interim, there should be transportation allowance for attending meetings and undertaking other assignments. So the point they make here is that although government facilitates loans for us to buy vehicles, when we are undertaking assignments, we should also be giving transport allowance.
For the Council of State, is it a loan for their vehicles?
It's a loan.
Okay.
It's a loan. Because that was the loan agreement. There were two loan agreements before Parliament. So, but it's
no, the same. I mean, government takes a loan for them.
Yes.
But does it give it to them as a loan?
Yes.
Like the MPs?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, so that's what happens. And if you look, you see, there's a lot of insincerity and lack of candor on these issues. On the issue of the vehicles with the loans and everything, there's that argument about the members of the executive and the judiciary don't have to take loans. They are given vehicles, and they use the vehicles for their work. You are not treating us right by asking us to take loans to pay the vehicles. But until the last 48 hours, the impression that had been created was that these persons were paying every cedi for the loan facility until the last 48 hours. You know, and if you look at the statement that Parliament itself issued on the 8th of July,
right?
This is parliamentary service.
Yeah.
They say that the Ministry of Finance, led by its minister, is facilitating a $28 million loan agreement for members of Parliament during their tenure as members of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic. The loan, which is part of their conditions of service and which is payable during their tenure, has generated a lot of discussions in the media space. with a conversation centered mostly on whether the members are deserving of the facility, given what has been described as the scarce resources available to the country and given the plethora of needs by the various MDs. And it moves on to paragraph 4. It says, Parliament would like to put on record that the MPs' cars are bought with loans which they pay for, as has been the culture since the inception of the second Parliament of the Fourth Republican Parliament in 1997. The arrangement for members of the 8th Parliament is no different from the arrangements for members of the previous Parliament. Is this true? Is this true? This is a statement put out by Parliament. This is a blatant falsehood. Because the truth of the matter, that's why I decided to...
You don't want to use lie?
First of all, it's a lie. It's a complete lie.
Okay.
First of all, the agitation about, look, we are not being served well. The other arms are given duty post vehicles. Why do you give us a different arrangement? That's separate. But then don't also create the impression as if you pay fully for the vehicle that you're giving. Because now we realize that, look, first of all, you don't pay duties on a vehicle. Now, for the $100,000 US, the state is going to pay 60% of it. And the state will also pay the interest on the loan. So what each MP and member of Council of State will be entitled to pay is $40,000 US over 4 years. So basically $10,000 per year for 4 years for a $140,000, $150,000 vehicle. So we need to be a bit honest in dealing with the issues. You get the point I'm making. Now, another interesting thing. You know that the committee recommended $80,000. Are you aware? What the committee actually recommended was $80,000 US for the vehicle loan. So yes, it was a recommendation. They varied it to $100,000 in approving it. They changed it because what is in the report is $80,000, not $100,000. You get a point. So I think that we need to be a bit more candid with this issue and deal with it. On the issue of
spouses,
the spouses. Look, when you go back to chapter 3, you see, there's a lot of talk out there. Oh, people say, oh, this will go as far back as spouses of military, heads of state, and it covers everybody. It's not just for Mrs. Akufo-Addo and Mrs. Bawumia and all that. Look, if you read the consultation, which will give you a basis for why they go into it, they say the committee was further tasked by the executive to determine the best way to treat spouses of former presidents. It was revealed that the state has in recent times assumed responsibility for some of the basic needs of spouses of former presidents, including the payment of monthly allowances. The executive admits that this is a humanitarian gesture intended to support the spouses to lead decent lives befitting the status of their husbands. It was, however, noted that this gesture is not supported by any legislation. The committee was therefore called upon to advise on how to formalize the current arrangement through legislation and ensure that these benefits are clearly stated for the sake of transparency. Now, earlier on, you had this discussion with Kofi, where you said that the only route is to go through a referendum and all that.
Because now, I was only saying that
no, I get
they are not Article 71
I get a point.
holders.
That's for those who say that we should amend Article 71 to include them. So that's one vehicle that people look at. There are those who also hold the view that you can submit a bill to Parliament. Let's say President and Vice President Spousal Emolument Bill, to make a case for why you believe that spouses of presidents and vice presidents ought to be paid something. Make a basis for that. And Parliament can look at that and then...
So it will not arise from Article 71?
Yes.
Because if it has to arise from Article 71,
yes.
Article 71 is in Chapter 8.
Yes.
Chapter 8 is entrenched.
I agree with you completely.
Which means you must go through a referendum.
The point I'm making is that...
There must be 75% of this country, of the people in this country,
yes,
who must vote yes, and there must be 40% of them at least who should go to the polls.
So the point I make to you is that I have said on record that the vehicle being which is being used to do this is wrong. Because the Constitution clearly defines who Article 71 holders are.
Right.
And you cannot, through the back door, smuggle in the spouses of the president and the vice president. And so what has been done, in my view, is illegal.
Right.
The committee should not have gone there.
All right.
Parliament should not have considered same. But I'm saying that if you are so minded, to legislate on this, you could come with a bill.
Okay.
If you think that going through the referendum, I don't see the reason why we should go through a referendum.
Where are you? The principle that they should be paid?
Look, the truth of the matter is that this country has been spending on the offices of the First Lady and the Second Lady. If we decide to interrogate this issue, we should interrogate it fully. Look, as we sit here, we are able to interrogate the expenditure of the office of the president. We know how much is budgeted and voted for. We know how much is spent on the office of the president, but we do not know about the office of the First Lady and the office of the Second Lady.
We are told that they do humanitarian work, so it's not your money.
So the point, but you see, the truth of the matter, if we're all being sincere, is that the state spends monies on these offices. And even the issue of their humanitarian work. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Some of them had foundations before they became First Ladies and Second Ladies. Some didn't have. They had them when they assumed those positions. You cannot lose sight of the funding that goes in those foundations and others. And whether they are state companies involved and businesses that have dealings with the state involved and all that. The point I'm driving at is that if you take the UK, for example, there's a Charities Commission that regulates the work of NGOs like that. You understand what I'm saying? So if we want to deal with these issues, let's deal with it properly. Let us know how much we spend on these offices. If we want to pay them salaries, should they also be declaring the assets and being held accountable like all others? I guess that's where we need to get to. And if you look at the qualification criteria, nobody should deceive themselves that this is to cover Mrs. Liman and all others. If you look at the qualification criteria, it clearly tells you that if your husband has not completed a term in office, you are not one of those people who are being looked at.
Okay. All right. So that they determined it under Article 71 Office Holders Report. Is that legal or illegal? Kweku is one of the best pocket lawyers in town. We have no doubt about that. So, on that basis, starting from that point, what do you have to say?
I've perused almost all the reports that we have produced since the Fourth Republic, 1993, Green Street, up to today. Quite a lot of them. There's a recognition, especially when it came to I think from 1997, 98, especially the 2000 report. There is not a single one of the committees that did not recognize that First and Second Lady, put it spouses rather, are not captured as Article 71 public office holders. They all made that observation. They recognize the limitation relative to spouses. Let me just give you an example. This is coming from the 2000 edition. That's Green Street.
Green Street.
Yes. It says, yes, functionaries who fall outside Article 71 of the 1992 Constitution, spouses of heads of states. The committee has noted that approval has been given by the executive for the First and Second Ladies to be provided with the following: A, office accommodation, and as Rani said, to be paid for. 2, B, running cost of offices. C, allowances, and that B, on basis of the level of allowances that will be established for the subsisting First Lady, 75% of those allowances should continue to be paid to former First Ladies as long as they remain unmarried. Paragraph 10. The committee is aware of the important role being played by First and Second Ladies and their enormous contribution to the socio-economic development of the country. We are, however, constrained in making recommendations in respect of first and second ladies, since they are not elected or appointed public office holders in their own right, specifically mentioned under Article 71 of the 1992 Constitution. Generally, it is expected that the first and second ladies will benefit from the estate of their spouses.
That's the question people ask. Why at all should we even think about paying spouses? Well, what is that?
There are a lot of, this is what Shireen Hesse said. Spouse support.
Is it coincidence that almost all the reports it's women who led?
Amazing. It hasn't struck me, but that's interesting.
I checked that.
Very interesting.
Because the politicians want empathy.
Right.
But that's interesting. It's never struck me.
They want an empathetic view.
Yeah. This is Shireen Hesse. Given the fact that more and more spouses of presidents engage in official public business, playing an important role alongside the president, the committee recommends that they be provided appropriately staffed offices on the advice of the head of civil service at the expense of the state to facilitate this role. The committee has taken note that currently spouses of serving presidents and vice presidents and spouses of deceased former heads of state and vice presidents are paid allowance equivalent to the emoluments of deputy ministers. The committee recommends that this practice be continued, except that taking into account the special position of the spouses of serving president, that payment should be equivalent to that of a minister. Most of the things we are discussing are not new.
Right.
In fact, the last one before this one, I think, was the 2016 one.
Yeah.
August 2016 dated.
So the question is, the mantra is public service, sacrifice. You are an unelected officer. Nobody has appointed you to do any job. If you want to do an NGO work, charity work, and people say the charity work actually attracts forced state sponsorship, because state entities are literally forced to push money for you to do your job. So why should we be paying you? You don't account to anybody. What's the point?
You are entitled to that view. Respectfully, I disagree. See, even the offices we are giving them, then we shouldn't give them offices. We shouldn't give them all allowances. We shouldn't give them vehicles. If that's the zero option.
What's wrong with that? That's a question. It's not my view. It's a question from what you can generate
a
from
view
the
expressed
public.
there by you, but I know it's a school of thought out there.
Right.
I respect it, but I disagree with them. And the reality that we are confronted with today, look, we have three scenarios. We have the existing administrative arrangements that began from the year 2000. And I think Mr. Atodazi has confirmed that. We also then have now this one, which is an attempt to formalize those administrative arrangements. If you go to the 2016, they actually recommended the need for formalization of these arrangements for spouses of former presidents and all that. The reality is that we have moved in the last 20 years or so, 21 years, to recognizing the role first and second ladies play and giving them something. We have extended it to former first ladies and second ladies. That's what we've done. That's the reality. The idea is, keep it the way it is. I believe the way it is, whilst it's good, lacks greater transparency and accountability. And there is the need, if you are formalizing, it brings this arrangement within the context of some transparency and accountability. See, when the president is in office, there are privileges, there are benefits, there are facilities. If you go under that section, they capture spouses, especially when it comes to medical and dental care. The spouses are captured, even within the context of Article 71. And that is why I have no difficulty with the approach that was adopted here. It can be challenging, it can be problematic. But you see, the rationale was that were seeking a way to formalize the thing. They could go with a bill as Dr. Prempeh, Professor Prempeh has suggested. You are talking of amending the Constitution. But you see, the way they found a way out. This spouses thing we are talking about right now is integrated into the facilities and privileges of the president and the vice president. But for people having a different school of thought, they have not actually done anything unconstitutional.
Because you get to marry somebody who becomes president.
Oh,
for the rest of your life, you are secure in your source of funding to cushion a lifestyle that is presidential.
See, that's an argument.
That's what people are asking. If first ladies are doing things that ministers and the various thousands of people we appoint to do don't do, why should that be the case?
This argument.
Why are they not doing their job? Why should the first ladies be doing these things?
You will be the first person to agree with me that I've said on Newsfile the last 10, 15 years.
Yes.
When the politicians play political ping pong with ex gratia and all, I've said that no politician wins that debate.
That's right.
When that debate is put in the public space.
You have even quoted the Constitution Review Commission's position.
Yes. Yeah. So I understand the sentiment you are expressing. It's a very challenging argument to make. I mean, for somebody to counter. And sorry, with all respect, I'm not singling you out, but I'm saying that is playing on the keyboards of people's emotions. And when the matter is put in that context, what I'm saying here will look nonsensical for the masses out there. But I insist, as long as we have gone along this way for 21 years, and we've left it in a way that is not formalized, it's dangerous.
I prefer formalization. We'll take a end on that.
I prefer the formalization of the matter, of the issue we are discussing, to leaving it the way it is.
Okay. Thank you.
Not through Article 71.
But they didn't do it that way.
Thank you very much.
No.
Thank you very much.